Who is Tamir?
I am a bridge between God's blessings and the people it's meant to go to.
My vision right now is I want to build 1,000 creators in next 2 years who create short form educational content.
Just because you're making videos doesn't mean you're building a personal brand.
Have you faced any challenges at that time when you were starting this?
I've been creating content since I was 11 years old, right? I don't sell a service. I welcome them into my ecosystem.
How was Dubai experience for you initially?
Look, at the end of the day, everything is about money. Coming here, I already knew it was gonna be eat or be eaten.
Let's say this is a saturated market and how you can be the best person in it.
Never turn your back on competition.
Client chooses Tamer or Tamer chooses client?
Tamer chooses client.
And what do you see in them while choosing a client?
A lot of agents, they come along and they tell you, I want to provide value. I want to be honest. With all due respect, if you don't provide value and you're not honest, what are you?
What's different?
What's different is how you deliver it.
In corporate, people says that you are 22 and you need to have experience. And you are the perfect example for that. You inspire people to focus on one specific thing and work on how you can help people give the best results in the market.
That's exactly what I focus on.
So, Tamer, let's start from the start of you, like where you come from and what's your story. That would be my first question.
Well, okay, that's an interesting one. So I've been creating content since I was 11 years old, right? So that's now 11 years of experience. When I started first creating content, it was just random things, Lego unboxings, playing around with the camera, just testing around. And like every kid's dream, you wanted to be a YouTuber. So, you try to achieve that. And as time goes by, you sort of understand the industries and you understand the strategies, what works and what doesn't. And so as time went by, I understood that, hey, I need to make money from this if I want to self-sustain myself, because I didn't really want to go to university. I didn't want to go to work. That was not my thing. So I was like, let me be an influencer. And I started creating content in the comedy niche when TikTok came around. And I got 1 million followers. A lot of people don't know that about me. And from there on out, brand deals did come along. But then you would understand, okay, well, they're not paying that well. What's happening? How does the business work? All of this. And then you understood that the influencer is at the end of the food cycle. Right? The food chain starts with the big brand, and then they pay the influencer marketing company, and they get then 50 influencers, and then you are like at the end of the food chain, so you eat last. So then you understand, okay, well, why don't I become the company itself?
Got it.
Right? So that's what I did. I started going out there. I started trying to find people who I can help them manage their social media, build their personal brands. And at that time, there was no such thing as a personal brand. It was not a term. It was social media management. So I would try to get a client. It took me about 6 months to get my first client, 2 years to get my second client, or like 1 year to get my second client, another year to get my fourth client, and then 6 months to get 40 clients.
How do you see the market right now from the time you started?
Well, now everybody's in personal branding more than ever. There's just a term that's been overinflated.
So everyone wants to build a personal brand right now.
The term is inflated. Everybody just uses the word personal brand. Just because you're making videos doesn't mean you're building a personal brand.
Yeah, so we will speak about this. The main idea of this podcast, which we are going to speak, will be basically how any individual can build an agency, what you have done, either as an agency or a freelancer, helping individuals build a personal brand. So let's start with that. You have mentioned that you started from the age of 11, right?
Yeah.
So from 11 till what you were like not sure how you can take things forward?
Till 18.
Till 18.
Yeah, so 7 years of just creating content, hoping that someday something will hit.
But I come from India, and from the age of 11 till 17 I started something somewhere hustling and doing quite things. But at the age of 11 you started creating content, like being a YouTuber. Maybe what way you interest at that time? So you mentioned Lego, right?
Yeah, I literally just took my dad's iPad that he used for work, that the work gave him, and I just made videos with it. And I just uploaded it.
And like, where were you settled? Were you in UAE or some other country?
No, so I was born in the Netherlands, but I was raised in Egypt. So when I was born in the Netherlands, I left the Netherlands at 3 years old, and then I went to Egypt. And then at 11 years old, when I was in Egypt, that's when I started creating content. And then at 18, I graduated high school, and I had earned enough money from my company to leave Egypt by myself and go independent and live in the Netherlands. And then initially I was trying to use my social media to fund my football career. But then my social media took really off that my football career was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Let's just build a business. And then at 20 is when I left the Netherlands and moved here.
Got it. But how did you get that exposure of you starting creating content? Like, for it depends on like you see people around you who are doing couple of things, right? You started creating content at the age of 11. Who did you see at that time? This guy is creating content, or I need
There
to
was
start?
no one. There was literally just YouTube on the iPad. So then you'd watch and I remember I was addicted to Legos. So I was like, this is so cool. Let me watch some Lego videos because we didn't have money to buy Lego. So the only thing we had money for was to watch Lego. So I watched Lego. And then when I got my only Lego piece, then I was like, oh, let me make videos like the people I watch online.
Wow, that's quite interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one thing when you started the things. But have you faced any challenges at that time when you were starting this?
Define challenges. I was 11 years old. So yeah, I couldn't get the camera to turn on if that's a challenge.
Yeah, you mean technicalities is one aspect of you learning stuff, right?
Yeah, well, of course. It was not a business. It was literally me just, for the lack of a better word, just messing around with whatever I had at my disposal. I remember I wanted to have a black background so that the Lego can pop like all the YouTube video I used to watch. So I brought a Monopoly board and I turned it upside down and it was black. So I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I put the Lego on top of it and then I put the camera, the iPad, and I played around with Lego.
That's quite interesting.
Right.
So to 11 till 18, you have been exploring different places. And how did
Yeah.
you start making money at that time?
Well, after doing the Lego for a while, I then became addicted to magic tricks. So I started doing also like magic tricks. And then after that, Vine came along. And when Vine came along, I started doing like comedy videos. I used to watch like Logan Paul, all these guys do those fun stuff. So I wanted to be like them. And then at that point, I was still unconscious because I was like 15 or whatever. And then by the age of 17, I believe, is when TikTok first came along. 16 or 17 is when TikTok came along. And then I jumped on that. And that was the first time I did a conscious decision because I knew that it was going to blow up because it looked like Vine. And I remember how Vine was amazing. So you did TikTok, did the comedy videos, all the crazy stuff, and it went viral. And then after that, about a year and a half later, some guy reaches out to me and tells me, hey, I own a travel agency. I want you to do UGC for me. And he used to pay me like $1,500 a month. So that was my first ever experience with real money. Other than that, in between, there was a couple of brand deals. So $100 here. I used to be on Fiverr, tell them, well, promote your page for in front of 1 million followers or whatever. So I used to get like $50 here, $100 there.
And when did you start creating content on TikTok? 2019.
Yeah.
Okay. That was like around 7 years back.
Yeah, 2019 is 7 years back. Wow.
So you started creating content on TikTok, and what was the algorithm at that time? What it demanded? What kind of content? Was it like very funny, very organic, natural videos, or how was
At that time, everybody was just viewing TikTok as this cringe dance platform. That was like
Yeah.
the time of it. And I did comedy videos, and of course, that's not natural as it is, I would get bullied. So the only kid in TikTok in Egypt, which is considered a conservative country, so it was a rough time. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I get you. But understanding the fact you became an influencer first, I don't know if you like being called as an influencer or a creator, because lots of people say, don't call me influencer, call me a
Who
creator.
cares, man? Just call it whatever you want to call it.
But yeah, more specifically, I can say that you have built your personal brand. That's more important. At that time, people start recognizing, okay, this is Tamer who is creating content on TikTok.
Yeah.
So that's how people recognize you. And that's, as you mentioned clearly, that anyone who is posting content on Instagram or any social media platform, we can't call them as a personal brand.
Yeah.
Right? So according to you, is a perfect personal brand, or how you can say, okay, this is he or she is building a perfect, or he's going on a right way of building a personal brand.
Which industry? Because there's
Let's say real estate.
Ryan Serhant is the best example.
Okay. So let's start with that. You mentioned that at the age of 18, 2019, you started
Yeah.
helping people with content creation.
Yeah.
Is that what I can say?
Yeah.
Okay.
18, yeah.
So you started getting people started reaching out to you with regards to helping them with social media platforms.
One person reached out to me. Let's be very clear. One person reached out to me. There's not a lot of people. There was one person reaching out to me, and then for the next 2 years, I was reaching out to everybody and getting nothing back.
Okay, but you got an idea. Okay, there is the demand of personal branding in this industry, and this one person reached out to you. Okay, Tamer, can you help me with social media management?
Yeah.
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 So then you got an idea. Okay, this is something which I can work on. Correct. So then you felt, okay, how was your skills at that time with regards to giving results or building a case study?
It was literally just, hey, I want you to make videos because I'm lazy not to make videos. There was no basis on what results would come or what would happen. It was literally just, hey, take the energy off of me and handle this for me. It was as simple as that. Nobody really thought of social media as a results-based platform yet. Everybody just thought of it as platform.
Okay,
Be on it.
I had a similar incident. When I was 18, I got my first client. I can't say client. I got an opportunity to manage a startup incubator. So they reached out to me, okay, Junaid, you are managing a community of young people. And it was quite creative with regards to campaign, challenges, and so many other things. How about you help us build something like that for a startup community? And I was like, first, I was a bit hesitant because I wanted to focus on my community first. But then my mom motivated me, okay, since you are getting this opportunity, you should go ahead with that.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, fine, let's do it. Let's give a try. I did that. And I couldn't give the same result for what I was doing for my community because the idea was not mine, right? So it happened that way. Then later on, I realized, okay, if this is not working, I worked with them for almost a year. Then I realized, okay, it's not working. The day I left that work, the next day I got another person asking, Junaid, can you help me build another community of me with regards to startup with mental health? I said, okay, let's try something. Even that didn't work due to certain circumstances and all those things. And next, I got a very great person, right? He's a big influencer right now in Dubai. He had around 5,000 followers on Instagram at that time. And I came like first person who I wanted to build a personal brand. That's where I got an idea. Okay, I need to help people with personal branding, and this is something which I love to do. I went with him, like he had his iPhone and shooting on, giving the scripts and planning the things. How I can help him grow and help young individuals with from his side. How he can give some tips about young people getting into entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And few content work, few didn't work, and within 2 months we stopped that. And then I realized, okay, this is something which I can try, and that's how things stopped. And soon after graduating, I completed my bachelor's. I got into political field. Same again for a political candidate with regards to personal branding on social media, distribution game. So that's something I have worked. But I realized one important point. Until and unless you have a vision, you can't give them the good result.
Yeah.
Like you need to relate with that. For example, if I'm working with any client right now with regards to real estate, I can see what's their vision, and if it's aligning with my vision, for sure I can help them. What do you have to say on that?
Well, what we usually do is, first of all, you need an end goal. And based on the end goal, you can reverse engineer everything. If there is no end goal inside, there is no point of doing whatever you want to do. Because when I did my TikTok, I had no end goal inside. I was just, hey, let me just get as many followers as possible. So the followers became obsolete because there is, and I said this actually a couple of days ago, there is a law called Goodhart's Law. And Goodhart's Law says whenever a measure becomes a target, the measure becomes obsolete. And what that means is if I want to, let's say, become a real estate agent who is well known on social media and build my personal brand to be able to obviously build my credibility, generate leads and whatnot. If then I judge it based on views, then I make the views my target, then I make content that goes against my end goal just to get the views.
Okay.
So the views become obsolete, right? So first of all, you need to understand very well what your end goal is and then build on that, reverse engineer that, and then you'll be able to achieve whatever you want to achieve. And that's exactly how I started all my businesses. That's exactly how all my personal brands succeed. Whenever somebody knows exactly who they want to talk to, exactly what they want to achieve, then everything else becomes clear. The worst clients and the worst people on social media are the ones that do not have an end goal in sight that is as clear as daylight.
What should be the ideal goal? For example, you have worked with a couple of people. what can be a goal of a real estate agent in the market?
Well, at the end of the day, every real estate agent wants to make money. So there's no
That's the
hiding
end.
that, right? So there's
Yeah.
end goal money. How do
Yeah.
you do that? Okay, well, then you can define how you do that in your own personal way. Because, for example, a British client who comes to me, who's a real estate agent here, cannot come and say, yeah, my target audience are Chinese. Unless he lived in China and speaks Chinese, that
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. But you first of all need to understand very well who you can connect with and who you can relate to and who your target audience is so that you can achieve your goal. And your goal is very simple: make money through real estate. That's every real estate agent's goal. And if anybody else comes and says something else, then they're just hiding behind a bush.
So after 19, what happened in your life?
Well, at 18 and a half, I graduated high school. At that point, I had like $3,000 saved up. I needed to have $8,000, I believe, to be able to leave Egypt and go to the Netherlands by myself to survive for like 4 or 5 months until I figured something out. But I was $5,000 short. So what I did is I studied the stock market very, very hard. And I found an opportunity that I put in all my $3,000. And I remember I went and played football. And I went in with 3,000. I finished my football game and I came out and I had $10,000.
Yeah, so that's about Netherlands, right? You went to Netherlands. What happened
Yeah,
after that?
so after I made that $10,000, I went to the Netherlands and I finished the money in 2 months. I finished the money in 2 months. When I first moved there, I remember I was staying at a small room on top of a house and I had to create content, obviously, because that was the way I made money. So I had to buy all the equipment. So I bought 3 monitors, a PC. I built my own computer because that was the cheaper way of doing it. Just specced out the entire room and spent my entire money in like 2 months of rent and the equipment, and that's it. So at that point, I was just creating content and there was nothing else to do than make content and play football, because at that point I wanted to become a football player, right? So it was just create content, create content, create content. And then eventually I got a huge injury, which put me out for a while. And I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? Right? I was sitting in the corner. Every day I used to stand in the garden. There was a garden in front of the house. It would be like 12 a.m. Really your depression story. Sitting down, don't know what to do. What am I going to do with my life? Everything I've planned for is now gone. Everything I've been working on since I was 11 now doesn't make any sense. So one day I just woke up and I was like, well, of course I'm not going to live my entire life like this. Let me figure something out. What can I do to make money? The first thing I did was I applied for Uber Eats, right? I still have the email from them. And then I applied for Talabat, the Netherlands version. It was called Thuis Bezorgd. And I got accepted and I did 2 shifts of that and I quit because I was like, this is not for me. I cannot be driving a bicycle for 12 hours a day to make 50 euros. You know?
Hustle.
Yeah, that's not even hustling. That's being yourself alive, man. Then after that, again, I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? And then I remembered, shit, I have a client. Like, that is considered a client. I just actually thought of him as just somebody I help him make content. But then I was like, I have a client. That is the definition of a client. Let me get 5 more of him and I'm good. I'm great. How difficult could that possibly be? More difficult
What
than I
was
imagined.
your age at that time?
19.
Okay.
19 and a half, yeah. That was 1 year after I moved. And then I was like, okay, well, let me figure this out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go out. I'm going to go into every restaurant, barber, and salon that I could find and offer them the service. I'll come in, I'll film you, blah, blah, blah. Everybody just kicked me out. Like everyone. Like I'm talking about 150 plus.
Wow.
Right? So everybody kicked me out. And then I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? These people here are very close-minded. Let me try America. So then I went on Instagram and then I used my already existing social media platform, the one with 1 million followers. And I was like, okay, hi XYZ, my name is Tamer and I am a content creator with over 1.3 million followers. I would love to get the opportunity to help you out, blah, 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 blah. Oh, everything that everybody gets those DMs nowadays. In the beginning, they were not as much. So I used to send it to everyone in the US. So tax lawyers, consultants, whether barbers, restaurants, anybody I could see. And I think after is when one guy texted me and he was like, yeah, I would love to hop on a call. I hopped on a call. I signed him, and he referred me one of his friends, and all of a sudden I had like 3-4 clients, and I was like, I'm living life, man. I'm making 7,000 euros a month, 6,000 euros a month. I moved to the big city, and yeah, that was an experience. So that's how I pretty much like just made my first amount of money.
But right now you're focused more on your real estate,
Yeah.
right? So how did you get the idea of just focusing on real estate, and what's the importance of you just focusing on one specific niche?
Look, at the end of the day, everything is about money. Okay. So I was sitting down and I was like, okay, I already worked with some companies and some individuals in the US. Companies take way too long to answer me because they have to go through so many levels of approvals. An individual, a lot of the times, is too broke to afford me. Who can I talk to? In the US, that was tax consultants, lawyers, mortgage brokers, and real estate agents. So when I found that out, I was reaching out to all these 4 industries. As I was reaching out to real estate agents, I was looking, okay, I was running out of real estate agents to reach out to. So I was like, who outside the US might make sense? So I was like, where's the top earners of real estate around the world? Dubai was one of them, Canada, the UK. So then I was reaching out, and one of the guys I reached out to here in Dubai was a realtor on a Harley. So I reached out to him, he answered me, and then we never ended up having a call, it sort of just died. And then after I made some money, and this is again like how destiny, how God works is so funny now that I think of it. As I made more money in the Netherlands, taxes grew. And then the government doesn't want you to be self-employed. They are quite annoying. I remember I was sitting one day, one guy randomly knocks in my house. At that point, I was making $10,000 a month. Guy knocks in my house and he goes like, why are you not working? I go like, first of all, how do you know that I'm not working? Second of all, by the way, bear in mind at that point I was living in a villa, which no 19-year-old can afford. And then I told him, I looked around, I was like, I'm pretty sure I won't be able to afford this without working. How do you know that I don't work? He's like, yeah, in our systems, you're not in school, you're not in university, you're not in work. I was like, in your systems? I for anything, I never asked for anything, I never went to banks. How in your systems? So this really annoyed me and pissed me off, because then I was like, shit, these guys will eventually come for me if I make more money. So at that point is when I said, okay, you probably know this, but I'm married. So I had my wife with me at that point, and I was like, hey, have you ever been to Dubai? And she was like, yes. Do you like it? She was like, yes. I was like, we're going. No, it was like just random, literally out of nowhere.
And that situation made you come to Dubai?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that situation, literally 1 week later, I was in Dubai. Right? I sold everything we had.
How was Dubai experience for you initially?
Well, coming here, I already knew it was going to be eat or be eaten. I always say that Dubai is like Wall Street in the 80s, where you would go there to make it or break it. You know, like you're either going to make it or you go back home. So I had this already in my mind. And when I first came here, I remember we landed, the first thought was like, this is Egypt. Because all the things were in Arabic. It was the same companies, Amar, it was like I'm back in Egypt. So it was a very familiar sort of environment. And then the next day, as I land, so at night, the next day in the morning, I had a meeting with Zuhaib, realtor on a Harley, because I texted him. I was like, bro, look, like, I'm moving to Dubai. I know nothing there, no one there. Can we just have like a coffee? And so we did. And we sat down together and he heard my story.
What year you came to Dubai?
2022.
Realtor on Harley is someone who started creating content, one of the early real estate agents in the market. And he had a leverage of having a community, right? So you reaching out to him at that time, and why did you feel that he's a perfect person, like who you need to work with, or maybe someone who you knew from the place where you were, right?
Yeah.
So how did it help you? Like you targeting him, okay, Zohaib, I can help you with specific thing.
You want the honest answer or you want the play around answer?
No, I want the honest answer.
Hashtag real estate Dubai, find everybody on there, copy paste the message. I didn't know he was. He was, it was
He was everywhere.
He was just there, right? I was sending to everybody. So he was one of the people that I sent messages to, and he was the one who was kind enough to reply, But when I met him and we sat down together, he already had a presence. Until now, I don't know why. Actually, I do know why, because I did ask him, which I'll touch on later. But he ended up working with me, even though he already had a team, he already had everything. So he was like, yeah, I want to work with you as well. And so He was my first client here.
Wow.
And then from him came another one. And talk. Like so fast things started to happen. And then connections started to happen. And then eventually that led to Aidan Doyle, who was one of my clients. And then his success story ended up reaching to everybody else.
Okay.
And that's sort of how the ball started rolling. And then the niche of real estate just sort of fell on my lap.
Nice.
Right.
So that's the start of real estate. That's the start of your Dubai journey. And you were like, okay, real estate is something which I need to look upon. And that's where you have to scale up.
Yeah, because, well, real estate agents are the ones who make a good amount of money, yet do not have to answer to anyone necessarily. So I don't go up and down and left and right. So it's the easiest one to sort of get into.
But what's the mistake which agency or freelancer are doing right now in Dubai?
The biggest mistake is they don't live what they preach, right? I don't sell a service. I welcome them into my ecosystem.
What's the ecosystem?
Everything I've done in my life was through my content. So since the beginning of the story, everything I've done it to myself before I've done it to anybody else. So I got 1 million followers before I helped the travel agency make content, right? I connected with a client through my personal brand before I helped a real estate agent connect with a client through his personal brand. So I don't sell anything. I just come and say, hey, I have done this to myself. Or do you want to enter that ecosystem, that whole scenario? Yes, okay, great. No, fine. And sort of most people, they sit down and they strategize. They're like, okay, I want to sell X, Y, and Z for the amount, for that. Hey, it could work, it could not. That's up to you. My preference is I don't want to offer anybody anything until I personally do it to myself.
Okay, so you had a leverage of 1 million followers on TikTok to approach these people.
Yeah.
Okay, how easy is it to close people who are like, you go and ask people, okay, I have this particular service, or they reach out to you?
Now or back then?
Back then.
Well, back then was all about just hustling. It's just talk to as many possible. Try to, for the lack of a better word, you're going to take shit in the beginning. Okay, I had to take a ton of shit, right? People, and hopefully you don't like the, hopefully you can either bleep it out or leave it, but right, you have to take things, so many things are going to happen to you, ups and downs, and it's going to be a rough ride. So might as well have something at the end of it, right? So in the beginning, I was saying yes to anything and anyone, as long as they would pay.
My vision right now is I want to build 1,000 creators in next 2 years who create short form educational content selling Dubai. So what do you think? What do you have to say about this?
Rough goal, but if you're determined, who am I to say anything about it, So
How do we make it more structurized on this?
it depends on the person, because here you're not talking about you doing something, you're talking about people doing something.
Right.
Right? And in today's age, people are lazier than ever.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's about how do you convince that person to believe in themselves and their abilities to drive forward.
How do you deal with such kind of people who are lazy or who are in full energy while starting the content and eventually they drain up?
Again, personally,
Yeah.
drain out, man, go sit in the corner. I'll take somebody else and they will succeed. So, I have no sympathy when it comes to people at work. Okay, the reason being is because I don't think anybody has a full disadvantage. Everybody has an advantage in some way, shape, or form that you can use or you cannot use. Okay? So even somebody who might have such a really, 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 really bad childhood coming up, his advantage is that sob story that he could use to portray out there on content and get people's sympathy online better than me, who comes from a middle-class family. I don't really have any crazy things that happen.
The authenticity.
It's a story that sells, right? So I have no sympathy. If you are going to be lazy and you're going to be burnt out, be it, man. All right, somebody else will come and take your place. This is not family, game. Nobody's going to come and, hug you and it's okay. No. Right? You either do it
The world is rough.
or you don't.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's much better for me to be very honest about this. And whenever I talk to clients, I say this. I say, you either do it or you don't. You listen to me or you don't. There is no such thing as, but I am this, I am that. come and say, oh, I'm burnt out. Oh, I have so much in my mind. Let me tell you this. If Elon Musk can manage PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX, and still have time to tweet and play that, I'm sure you have time to make some content, And this is not my quote. This is Alex Hormozy's quote. So, right?
Yeah.
So it's all about you. Do you want it or do you not want it? It's as simple as that. And that has to do with real estate agents who want to build their personal brands or agency owners who want to provide a service.
Who is Tamer?
A man. I am a bridge between God's blessings and the people it's meant to go to.
Got it. Let's say Tamer, he's helping hundreds of people building their personal brand, right? So tomorrow, if he stops doing that, what's the next thing Tamer would do?
We'll figure something else out. This is not the only business I have or had. I've built multiple businesses, failed at every single one of them. I'll build something else and I'll figure things out.
Couple of people say agency business is quite saturated. And like you don't have much demand right now. There are hundreds of agencies out right there providing same services at lower cost. What do you have to say on that?
Name me an unsaturated market. Everything has competition. Everything has saturation.
But
there is no such thing as you're the only one in the market. If there is, you're the only one in the market for 5 seconds. And you're going to have your own problems, by the way. Because it's much more difficult to be the only one in the market than it is to go into 5 people in competition. Because if there is no market, you have to build a market, right? So you have to go in and you have to convince people on a service that nobody else offers, and that has its own level of difficulty because they've never heard of it. It's new. It's like
monopoly.
No, it's not even about monopoly. It's about when I first came here, nobody focused only on personal branding for real estate agents. No one. That had its own set of challenges because I had to sit down and talk to agents and convince them in the first place that this is something they should be doing, which is more difficult than coming and saying, I can do this more than him and you're already ready to build your personal brand. All I need to do is just show you that I'm better than that guy.
Got it.
Right? In the beginning, it's more difficult. And an unsaturated market, it's way more difficult because then I don't have to tell you better than him. I have to convince you that this is something of need in the first place.
Yeah.
Right?
The demand creation.
Yeah. So anybody who says this thing is saturated, well, yeah, you're in a better position than in a non-existent market where you have to do everything from scratch.
Got it. Okay. So let's say this is a saturated market and how you can be the best person in the market.
That's a very good question. You adapt, you learn from other people. One thing I always do is never turn your back on competition. A lot of people, you know what they do? They think, okay, this person is competition. I don't want to even look at him, blah, blah, blah. No. If somebody is in the industry as me, I like to sit down and learn. I like to look at what they're doing. Swallow the ego. All right. I like to sit down, see what they're doing better than me, ask questions if I'm able to, right? Okay. So you learn, you adapt, you improve. Things will change every month. So you just sort of understand and strategically play your moves so that you are able to take what's good from everyone and fix what's bad from everyone and build on that. All right. And a lot of the times also take feedback from clients. Right? You take feedback from clients. And a lot of times I take feedback from clients that are not even my clients. So if an agency has a client and that client leaves that agency, I would make an effort. I don't want to sign you. With all the respect, I don't care. I just want to know why you left them. What's the reason? And then based on that, I would look, okay, well, I'm making that mistake. How many of my clients are thinking that way? Let me fix it before the one of them leaves.
Yeah.
And that's how you sort of build on that. You get what I mean?
Yes. How important is testimony in your field or any field?
Testimonials?
Yes.
Well, it is the main thing. You cannot expand without results, right? Before I went into social media about my service, so I had obviously other social media before, but before I went into I have now, I first of all had 5 case studies that were so strong. I did it so well that people needed to know who was behind those successful personal brands. A lot of the clients I get, they go like, I was wondering for ages who helped this guy reach where he went. That's the power of testimonials, you know. It flips the table. It flips from you need them to they need you. All right. Now, because of how many testimonials I've got, I don't necessarily need anyone. All right. They need to build a personal brand. I have all the results. If somebody wants to talk to me, it's because they want the service. I don't necessarily need them.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. A straight up question, which is very direct. Client chooses Tamer or Tamer chooses client?
Tamer chooses client.
And what do you see in them while choosing a client?
The end goal. If they have no end goal in mind, then I'm gonna tell you have no vision, like, or your mind's too messed up. I can't organize it for you. My job is to take you from point A to point Z. If you don't know where you are and you don't know where you want to go, how am I gonna take you there?
Okay.
Doesn't matter if I have a Lamborghini. I'm just gonna come run around in circles, right?
What would you ask? Let's say you're having a first meeting with a potential client. So what's the first 5 sets of questions which you're going to ask them?
How long have you been a real estate agent for? What did you do before real estate? Why do you want a personal brand? On a scale of 1 to 10, how important do you think a personal brand is? What's your end goal?
Okay. And what's the summary of this? What would you expect in the good result?
Multiple years of experience, some sort of job beforehand that's interesting, that has nothing to do with real estate. 10 in the scale of how ready they are to build a personal brand. They want to build a personal brand so that they can build credibility, trustworthiness. If they say lead generation, I'm like, out. All right, you don't know what a personal brand is. And then, what was the last question? What was my last question? Yeah, I forgot my own question. What was the end goal? If you know something, if you know a goal, that's it, done. You know?
Got it. What if any of this the list, so they're out?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I say the market is not saturated, because the market is full of people I said no to.
But do you think like having this checklist counted, like they can be better than other real estate agents in the market?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just automatic, because the better the client you have, the better the results he's going to get. Because at the end of the day, this is a two-way street. So if you're a good person sitting in front of me, in terms of like your effort, your willpower, if you sit in front of me and you tell me I've been doing real estate for 10 years, before that I was running another business that I sold, I am very motivated to build my personal brand, I know that this is about credibility and authority and positioning myself in the right way and for the long run, and I understand that you know what you're doing, I know what I'm doing, we'll work together, we'll join forces and we'll build something great. And then they have some sort of energy, way that they can portray themselves online. They don't necessarily want to look like everybody. It'll work out, bro. It'll work out. All I need to do is just place the right dots and things will play themselves out.
So you're telling it's not easy for a new realtor in the market who is 22, 23 to come and build a personal brand?
It's very, very rare. I have 20 people in their 20s. You have 3 in their 20s, and all of them have the similar concept of who they are as a person. And it requires very, very, very high drive, very, very goals, and a very, very good understanding of how you get there. You just need help with actually executing it.
Okay. Let's keep an agency aside. Okay. Let's see, for example, if there is, let's talk about me, Junaid, as a realtor. I get into the market today. Apart from my marketing agency, I quit my marketing agency and start creating real estate, right?
Yeah.
So how should I get and how should I build my personal brand?
I wouldn't take you on, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't build your personal brand. Okay. I just wouldn't take you on because you're not the type of caliber that I can help. All right. You're still in the beginning. I help people from here to here, but the way to get from here to here is different, right? So what I always tell any agent who just started is, number one, just start creating content.
Type of content.
First of all, talk about yourself, your personal stories, okay? Day one of becoming a real estate agent in Dubai. Be authentic, okay? Showcase that you know nothing. All right, but then they come and say, yeah, but then people will look at me as a newbie. They won't work with you. But after 2 years of doing that, they will look and they're like, damn, that person's been documenting for 2 years, right?
Yes.
So then you'll be like getting all the clients. So that's the whole point. The whole point is you're building something for the future. And what's so funny is a lot of agents, sorry for this, but a lot of agents are very hypocritical. They expect to go to a client and tell them, yeah, buy an off-plan property. It will be ready in 3 years and then you'll make your ROI. But when we tell them, hey, build your personal brand today and it will be ready in 2 years. No, it's too long. I want my ROI right now. And when somebody's reaction is that, That's how you know that they're not a good agent.
Okay, so last segment of this podcast, I want to understand a bit about real estate guys who you are working with currently. How easy is to work with the checklist which you're having with the clients? So why do you think they will blow up or they will give you better case studies?
What I always look for is something that is unique to the market. So what I always say is value in the real estate market is the same across everybody. A lot of agents, they come along and they tell you, I want to provide value. I want to be honest. With all due respect, if you don't provide value and you're not honest, what are you? A lying person who is useless? All right, yeah, well, the bare minimum. Value and honesty is bare minimum. So that is not enough. But I'm going to give data. Okay, anybody can chat GPT data.
Yeah.
Oh, but no, it has nothing to do with that. A property that is worth 1,500 dirhams a square foot is worth 1,500 dirhams a square foot, whether I'm selling it, you're selling it, or they're selling it, right?
Yeah.
What is unique is how you deliver the data. I could sit here and I could look at a camera and be like, so this property is worth 1,500 dirhams per square foot. That is, of course, comparative to other areas, very, very good, because other areas are at 2,500. Or I could be out on a yacht that I rented for 500 dirhams, saying, you see this property over there, it is worth 1,500 dirhams per square foot, and it is way better because this property over there is worth 2,000 dirhams a square foot, blah, 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 blah.
Got it.
It's different. I'm in the middle of the water on a yacht. How many people online have that? Yeah?
Got you.
So it's all about how you deliver the content. You can say, I want to be professional, I want to wear a suit. How many agents online wear a suit?
Hundreds of people.
Okay, what's going to make you stand out? What I have to say. Well, I'm really sorry, but if I'm scrolling TikTok and every agent who wears a suit is spitting crap, before you even open your mouth, I've already scrolled away.
Of course. The only thing they have is will tell about ROI, appreciation, amenities, facilities, blah, blah, blah. That's it.
So what's the point?
What's different?
What's different is how you deliver it. Because you deliver a message, I can convince you tomorrow, actually not tomorrow, but I can convince you eventually that humans are born with 3 brains.
Okay.
Science says no. But I can convince an entire generation that they're born with 3 brains. One here, one in this cheek, and one in that cheek. I can convince them. How? By repeating the same message over and over again in different packagings for the next 20 years.
It's offering.
Right? So for the next 20 years, all I'm going to do in every single video I ever create is put a small message that humans have 3 brains. So for example, I would make a video and I would, let's say, be talking about scientific facts. And then I would be like, you know, the moon landing, we all know it's fake, right? Well, do you know what else is fake? We don't have 1 brain, we have 3. And then the next video, I do something similar. Even though science and facts disagree with me, just because of how much I say it, there will be a 5-year-old who's watching me as he grows up. And for the next 20 years, by the time he's 25, he's actually going to think maybe science is lying to me, right? So personal branding, for the lack of a better word, is manipulation over a long period of time. The only problem is, are you manipulating something good or are you manipulating something bad?
That's the definition of personal branding.
That is how you build a personal brand, because a personal brand is an image
That is built.
that is built. And that image has a message, and that message is what you want to portray out there.
True.
Okay? Now, if I want to portray that message, I need to showcase it in a good way. And that is quite literally the meaning of manipulation. Manipulation is to take a thought that you want somebody to think of and package it in a way so that you can convince them without really convincing, without coming and telling them, hey, find a way to do it. Right? The only difference is there is good manipulation and there's bad manipulation. Right? There is manipulation of me saying, for example, if there's a cat on the road and clearly the car is going to hit her, instead of me coming, hey, cat, come, she's not going to come. If I bring tuna and I put it here, cat's going to come here. Be safe. I've manipulated the cat.
Yeah.
But I did it for a good reason. Right? So first of all, identifying what you're doing and how you can package it in a way so that the person
Comes to you.
comes to you. And to do that, you need to come from, first of all, a genuine place, because if you come from a bad place, it's going to bite you back.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you come from the lying, dishonest, tricking place, that's bad. But if you come from the honest place of like, hey, look, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. This is my personal experience. This one person said, you know what, I want to buy with you. If you didn't lie about all the things that you said about yourself here, great. But if you lied, they will come in and you'll find out and they'll tell everybody else. True. Right? So that's how it's like, you know, it's a very tricky business, but you need to find out what's unique to you.
Yeah.
Right? How you can portray your image. I'll give you one quick example. I have a British client. He is from the UK and he was a roadman. You know a roadman? A roadman is those gangsters who wear cross bags and like speak in weird way. So when he came to us and we saw his social media, he never had his cross bags or anything. He looked professional wearing a suit. I was like, why are you doing this? Like, yeah, I'm not be professional, etc. I was like, no, be who you are, and actually we're gonna exaggerate who you are. Right? So we then took him his bag and whatever, and we knew that if we do that, people would hate in the comments. So we talked about Dubai Islands. Right, with the bag, like, and he uses all his slang words. I'm not gonna even try to do it, but he uses all his slang words with the cross bag, and he goes like bare racks or whatever, blah blah blah. And the videos get views, 200,000 views, 300,000 views, and the comments are hate. But then he goes like, bro, people who talk to me who are actual investors, they love it. A 55-year-old Scottish businessman who, you know, posh, calls him and he goes like, bro, I love your videos. This is so cool. I've never seen anybody. He's speaking about Dubai Islands. Every agent is speaking about Dubai Islands. Why him specifically? Because you found the unique way and you weren't afraid to put yourself out there, and that was the way that you were able to get people in, and then your words did the rest, and then your actions showcased that your words were true. Therefore, manipulation was done in the right way.
Yeah.
Was done in the right way with good intentions and a good end result. A lot of people don't like to hear the word manipulation, but it is the way. Are you married? Do you have a girlfriend? Anything?
No.
Okay. If you have a girlfriend, or whenever you have a girlfriend, if you mess up, what do? You buy a gift.
Yeah.
That's manipulation. Right? Is it bad? No, it's not bad. You're doing something to get her, but you see what I mean? people always get afraid from that word, but I don't. But it's the way it is.
Yeah.
It is the way it is. Everything you do in your life is to convince somebody to think of you in a way, and that is the definition.
That's manipulation.
Exactly. And that's
Tamer,
personal branding.
That was great speaking to you.
No worries, man. Anytime.
So what's that one final message you would like to give to people who want to start marketing agency right here in Dubai?
The final message is very simple. If you want to do something and you set your mind to it and you obsess over it, you will always find a way to get it done.
Yeah.
It could take you 5 years, could take you 10 years, could take you 20 years. As a matter of fact, you might die and not achieve it, okay? Because that's the mindset I have. Okay, I have goals I put in my mind. It's either do or die. If I die, I died. Who cares? If I achieve it, then I've achieved it. So I can't lose.
Yeah.
Right? If I leave anybody here with one message, there's one proverb that I love. He goes, there's a man who is in poverty. And he is offered to go fight a beast. And if he beats the beast, he becomes free from poverty. So the man says, I will go and fight. If I beat the beast, I free myself from poverty. If the beast kills me, I defeat myself from poverty. Right?
Yeah.
So in both cases, if you really go out there and you really try, you cannot lose, because you're either dead, who cares, or you achieve it, which then great. And that's the mindset that you should always have.
That's amazing. Tamer, that was great speaking to you.
No worries, man.
And lots of energy, lots of insights.
Yeah.
And man, you're so young and have lots of experience. So that's something amazing. You know, in corporate industry, people says that you are 22 and you need to have experience.
Yeah.
And you are the perfect example for that.
And just start, you know, you play around, you figure things out, you know. Like I've done other businesses before, and I'm sure I'll open other things and they will fail as well. But, you know, one message that I will tell you and everybody as well, careful who you piss off on the way up, because you're going to see them on the way down. Right? I don't like to make enemies at all. I would actually rather have my right let go for the time being, because I know that they might be in an upper hand tomorrow, or I might be in an upper hand tomorrow, and we always should help each other out at the end of the day. So if you make enemies and you like, you know, on the way up and you go like, well, I'm better than you, or whatever, blah, 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 you're going to go down, right? Anytime I meet anybody and they go like, yeah, Like, I've met, Khalid and all these guys. Anytime they go like, oh, you're steps ahead of me, I go like, today maybe, but I'm sure tomorrow one of you will be steps ahead of me. All right. So I'll help you now. You help me later. We help each other out.
Inshallah.
And everything should be good, inshallah.
So let's go, Tamer. That was great speaking to you.
No
I
worries,
hope
man.
you enjoyed this conversation.
sure.
So thank you guys for watching till this end. I hope you guys enjoyed the session with Tamer. Hope you subscribe to TBH with JJ and stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you.